You won't see it for long. Welcome to Atlanta, Georgia. Always good to be in the Deep South, and the Rockies are at SunTrust Park. Second year that SunTrust has been the home of the Atlanta Braves out in suburbia. And the Rockies and Braves met for 3 games early in the season. In fact, the Braves were the first 3 games at home for the Rockies this year, and Atlanta took 2 of 3, kind of a precursor of what was to come, as Atlanta, as we were talking about, has enjoyed a great season so far, leading the NL East at 68 and 51. A guy the Rockies are very familiar with, Julio Teheran, is on the mound tonight, and David Dahl, not the guy who's from Georgia, Charlie Blackmon leading it off. Charlie's getting the evening off, and David will be up top the Southwest batting order. Here's the rest of it. DJ LeMahieu, Carlos Gonzalez, and then Nolan Arenado's back in there at third base, as promised yesterday. Trevor Story, Gerardo Parra, Ian Desmond, Tony Walters doing the catching, and then John Gray on the mound. If we look closer at the numbers on Julio Teheran, he's 8-7. The ERA is inflated, but the league's hitting just .207 against him.
He's got wipeout stuff. You look at the amount of innings pitched versus the amount of strikeouts, and it's pretty amazing when you see somebody that has a hits per 9 as low as him. We'll get into some numbers beyond that. Fastball 90 miles an hour. His wipeout slider is fantastic. 142 batting average against that pitch. He will hang his curveball. He throws it 6% of the time, but it's getting hit at a .563 clip with a 1,200 slugging percentage. So if you get one, don't miss it.
Well, here's something else as he misses on the first pitch of the ball game. His velocity's down a little bit, but again, the fastball's not being hit. He has walked the leadoff man of the game 9 times this year. Not going to walk David Dahl here. It's hit pretty well to center field, but playable out there for Enciarte. He'll wait and he'll make the catch.
For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. I had teased the idea of him having a low hits per 9. Check out these stats. 6.75 hits per 9. That's the 4th lowest in the National League, but a 1.56 homers per 9 is second highest in the National League. So if he misses with a hit, it's usually hit a long way, so make it count.
Stepping in, DJ LeMahieu against Teheran. DJ's hit 9 home runs, driven in 36, primarily out of the 2 spot in the lineup. Earlier in the year, he was hitting in the leadoff spot. He has spent 3 different times on the disabled list, first time in his career. And this is on the ground to short. Dansby Swanson with the quick release, 2 outs. Let's take a look at the first bank defensive alignment tonight for Atlanta. There's Acuna Jr. He's in left field. Enciarte's a terrific center fielder. Nick Markakis is solid in right. It's Johan Camargo at third base. Swanson and Albies. Ozzie Albies up the middle. The very reliable and very talented Freddie Freeman at first, and the veteran Kurt Suzuki is behind the plate. Solid team all the way around. Cargo with 2 outs steps in. Cargo just 1 for 14 in his career against Teheran. Teheran's done a great job against the Rockies historically. 5-1, a .221 ERA. This is his 10th start against the Rockies. And I'll give you a little bit more that underscores how difficult he has been on Colorado. Back in 2014 in June, he had a start in which he gave up 7 runs in 6 1/3. If you take that start away, in the other 8, he has a .124 ERA.
Well, think about last year when SunTrust Ballpark, he couldn't pitch here. He had some inflated numbers in Atlanta, but on the road he was dominant.
And it goes away, away, away to Cargo, and he gets ahead 1-2. Two outs, top of the first of 4 ball games here in Atlanta for Colorado. They split in Houston. And they go up in the zone, and that was quick. Fly out, ground out, strikeout. Rockies done in their half of the first. 1-2. See you later. Great first inning. 2-2. Got him. Another strikeout. Great outing for John Gray. That's 3 in a row since coming back from Albuquerque. That's a great pitch. Slider, see you later. Well done, John Gray. So John Gray making his 6th start since coming back from Albuquerque. It's his 23rd overall. I think the numbers you have to pay attention to, what he's done recently. His last outing wasn't superb, but still, in his last 5, a 2-0 record, a 2.29 ERA, and the most important stat of all, the Rockies are 5-0. And the crowd is standing right now. This is very interesting. For the young man, the 20-year-old, Ronald Acuna Jr. And this is a classy move by the Braves fans. After last night, he had to leave the game, but he's right back in there, and he's got the padding now on that left elbow. First pitch of the ball game is a slider, and it just missed ball 1.
Acuna now having that elbow pad after getting hit there last night.
And this is sharply hit and on through the left side despite the shift for a knock. And now John Gray will have to deal with his speed. Here's the Southwest batting order for Atlanta. Next up, Ozzie Albies, who had a great first half of the season. He's cooled off a little bit in the second half, but he'll be in that 2 spot. Then it's Freddie Freeman batting .323. Nick Markakis right behind him at .321. Camargo, another young player, he's at third base, took over as a starter in May. Ender Inciarte, the former Diamondback, Kurt Suzuki, and Dansby Swanson 1 through 8. So John will keep an eye on Acuna, who has 8 stolen bases. We were talking to Walt Weiss earlier today, the bench coach now for Atlanta, and Brian Snitker. And he said, watching him in spring training, I knew he was fast. He said, but if I had to put a grade on his foot speed, he said he may be an 80 runner.
Acuna?
That's what Walt said. He said at the very least he's above a 70.
They were talking about when he moved to center field for a stretch, that they said he was better than Ender Inciarte. Inciarte is a perennial Gold Glove center fielder. Something special at first base.
He's 8 out of 10. 1 ball, 1 strike. Albies at 279. Little guy, but he's got 21 home runs. Outfield straight up.
John had Acuna leaning towards second base. John didn't go with his A pickoff move to first. It was a little leisurely towards it.
Got to vary your times, got to hold the baseball as well to freeze the feet of that man at first. 1-1's up, 2-1. Albies second in the league in runs scored, tied for second in doubles with 33. Went to the All-Star game this summer. Here we talk about Acuna being 20. This kid at the plate's 21. He takes off. Acuna, throw to second, not going to get him. 9th stolen base for Ronald Acuna.
This is what makes Atlanta so dangerous. There's young athletes at the top of the lineup with some veteran bats in the middle. 270 batting average as a team is second in all of baseball. And they're in the middle of a stretch right now, Drew, where they Starter hasn't gone past 5 innings against him in the last 5 games.
That's a good pitch, 3-1. Now it's 3-2. Well, the good thing, even though John's out of the stretch here and getting stressed early, John has big part of John's game is the strikeout, which can erase problems like this. This is popped up to Nolan. 1 out. Well, it was up and down the first half of the season for Gray, as I'm sure you're aware. Before he was sent to Albuquerque, he had an ERA closer to 6, and the opposition was hitting .287. The whip almost a runner and a half per inning pitch. Since his return, the last 5, I love the whip, .085. And the league went from hitting his fastball at well above 300. Now they're hitting his four-seam fastball in the low 200s.
And it's all in part to location. He's been pitching down in the strike zone. That's it. And it was a simple mechanical adjustment. The reset was so important for John just to get back, try to take some of the pressure off himself so he can release his mechanics. That's what happens sometimes when you feel the weight of the world trying to be somebody at the front of the rotation. 95-mile-an-hour fastball has been fantastic over the last really 5 starts, to your point. The slider's a wipeout, and his curveball has really started to develop.
You know, it became a dirty word for him, and I think it was kind of an injustice, if you will, and I get it. The media is going to, well, Freeman gets plunked. First and second, that'll bring up Markakis. But they wanted to attach the ace to John Gray. That moniker, it's a breaking ball, by the way. Hit him just below the knee. Still doesn't feel good. And I think it was unfair to John. And I understand it. John's a, very, very high pick. Very, very talented. Went on a great run late last year. But he's still young. You acquire that after you do it for a long period of time. And not every team has an ace. Just because you pitch opening day does not make you an ace. There's a handful of those guys. Here's Markakis. Think about it. If you look at the Atlanta Braves, Julio Teheran has been, he's 27, but he's pitched on opening days. Still not an ace. Good pitcher. Max Scherzer, he's an ace. This ball to in the air. No, it wasn't. It was on a hop. Turns into a double play anyhow. Boy, from our vantage point, it looked like that ball was still in the air. Either way, John gets the double play. And Acuna, who ended up at second with nobody out, no harm done. We'll go to the second. The 2018 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores, and by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Did a great job with SunTrust Park out here in Cobb County, about 10 miles northwest of downtown Atlanta. That Omni Hotel out there in center field wasn't even completed last year when the Rockies were in town. In fact, it wasn't completed throughout the regular season. It opened in the winter. Here's Nolan back at third base. And he takes low from Tehran.
So Nolan, for his career against Julio, he's 1 for 14.
Nobody in the Rockies lineup really has hit this guy. It's time.
You need a bit of a market correction. Ian Desmond has decent numbers. He really does. To your point, nobody really has any numbers that stand out.
2-0 and breaking ball 3-0.
Think about this. Between Cargo, who's now 1 for 15 against Julio, and Nolan, they're essentially 2 for 29 against him in their career. They're hitting 3 and 4 tonight.
3-0 on Arenado, and that's in there for a strike. Been saying his name a long time, but he is just 27. That's back up the middle. There's a base hit leading off the second for Nolan. Again, just his second hit ever against Tehran.
(3-1) count. Nolan looking for another fastball. This one stays up and over the middle portion of the plate. Nolan just lines it right back up the middle.
Nolan was good as a DH, 3 for 7. Probably hated every minute of it, though.
Oh, he did not like it.
So here's Story. Trevor's riding a 12-game hitting streak. It's the longest right now in the National League.
So I had a note today on Trevor. He hasn't had a walk in about 53 at-bats. So that's all during the hitting streak. He's putting the ball in play.
Trevor's on base percentage right about 350, 347. That misses 2-0. Braves won that ball game yesterday after the get-together in the very first inning. They won 5-2. They've won 5 straight games. Third time this year they've won 5 in a row. They have not won 6 in a row yet, and now it's 3-0. That's at the knees. Trevor thought it was low. 3-1. We were talking about on-base percentage. So last year, Spilly, Trevor's on-base percentage was just 308. He's up to 347. That's a significant jump.
Well, think about this. His strikeout rate in 2017 was 34.5%. This year it's dropped down to 25. It's a 10% dip. That's huge.
And league average is around 22%. But he hits the ball over the fence at a much higher rate than the rest of the league. 3-1. Nolan conservative league. Tehran has that misses. Tehran has a very good move, but now he's created a little problem. Base hit and a walk. 2 men aboard. There goes your impression. You said he hadn't walked in a long time. Now he has one. And here comes Gerardo.
He snaps it. 53 straight at bats without a walk. That's his first one since August the 1st.
Fans, join in on the conversation tonight. Send us your comments, questions. Use Twitter. Include the hashtag Toyota Talk. The Rockies can take advantage here. Parra batting .287. He's been better out on the road at .311. 4 for his past 8. 5th in the league with runners in scoring position at .355, and that's outside. Home plate umpire is Pat Hoberg. Brian Knight at first. Joe West is the crew chief. Joe's at second. Doug Eddings is at third. There is Joe West.
I think I just saw something that he passed Bruce Fleming for second all time. Congratulations, Joe. That's great.
And now Suzuki's going to go out and meet with Julio. This year, Spilly, and some guys have these years, when Julio's good, he is really good. It's kind of like John Gray earlier this year. When John was good, he was outstanding. When John wasn't good, he was bad. And that's kind of been Julio Teheran this year. And when he gives up a long ball, he hasn't done that yet tonight, obviously, but it really unravels for him.
That's what we're hoping for. We want to see him unravel.
Well, just like you said, Story was due for a walk. The Rockies are due to put up a crooked number.
Yeah, we need tacos.
It's been 23 games since the Rockies have scored 7 or more in a game. And that's way inside. That's not even close. 2-0. Tell you what, if you're Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach for Atlanta, first inning you're like, oh, he's got his stuff. Second inning you're probably starting to wonder. There's Chuck.
That's a face that looks like it's concerned.
Yes, it does. Two and one. Yeah, kind of to underscore Julio's starts this year. He's had 9 starts where he's allowed a run or less, an earned run or less. He's had 5 starts where he's allowed 5 or more. 2-1. And this is broken bat fly ball. Tagging is Nolan. And Markakis' throw is not going to get him. Good job by Nolan. That's where the scouting report comes in. Nick Markakis is a good outfielder. He does not have the prototypical right field arm, Spilly.
But he makes a good throw. Now, if there's anything to look at the base running, Nolan does a good job, but Trevor, as the back runner, doesn't do a good job reading this throw. This is an overthrow well over the cutoff man, and it's much easier for that secondary runner to read that. He would have loved to have seen Trevor move up 90 feet along with Nolan, so you're staying out of the double play.
So here's Ian Desmond. Desmond has seen Teheran, having played in the division with him, more than anybody. He's 8 for 32 lifetime. Looking for his first hit against Atlanta. He was 0 for back in Denver early in the season. Well, this is one of those early situational at-bats. And Desi knows at the end of his at-bat, even if there's an out somewhere recorded, he's got to get Nolan another 90 feet.
It's a big hole towards the right side of the field if he's willing to hit behind the runner. Albie's shaded double play depth, but more up the middle than normal. And we've seen Ian, especially when he was hitting second. I've talked to Ian. He liked hitting in that spot.
One strike. Tony Diaz spent a good deal of time earlier today with Trevor Story talking about Teheran's move. He said Teheran has a great move. He said, but if you wait him out, you can run on him. If you get itchy, that's when he picks people off. Not going. And this ball is in the air, deep enough, you think, to get Nolan home, though I don't know. Here comes the center fielder. Inciarte. Throw is on line, but not in time. And the Rockies take a 1-0 lead. Good at bat from Ian Desmond. So Nolan moved up on a fly ball and scores on a fly ball. And the Rockies, with 2 productive outs, take a 1-0 lead here in Atlanta.
Love it when the Rockies put together productive at-bats and score first. And Inciarte does a great job getting behind the baseball, making a good, strong throw towards where Freddie Freeman probably should have been. It's a nice one-hop, short slide from Nolan.
And Tony Walters at the plate. Here's Trevor, who's been out there now for a little bit. Can find a spot to run. Curveball misses.
I love pointing out whenever teams score first. If the Atlanta Braves score first, they're 50-17. If you score against them, they're 18-34. Not bad. But that first run is pivotal.
Runner going, and it's fouled off. A little tougher, Billy, explain for people, a little tougher when you're a left-handed bat and a guy goes and it's a straight steal to not swing at a pitch that you deem is hittable. If you're a right-handed bat, as you were, sometimes you can read that jump and lay off or protect.
Well, I mean, for hitters, you can see the infield movement.
And this is in the air to shallow center field. Going out is Albies. He'll make the catch. Rockies get a hit. There was a walk. There was a sac fly. And they have a 1-0 lead.
To nothing lead. Well, all the buzz around SunTrust Park was the health of Ronald Acuna Jr. in the lineup today after getting hit by a pitch yesterday by Jose Urena from the Marlins. The bench is cleared. Walt Weiss, now the bench coach with Atlanta, part of that, and we got his reaction today.
Disgrace, really, what happened. I don't think there's ever a reason to throw at a guy because he's having success. And, you know, you pitch inside, you move his feet a little bit, yeah, I get that. But totally uncalled for, and I think that the Marlins were embarrassed by it too. You could tell by the way they responded when they were on the field. They didn't really want to be out there when everything cleared. But you know, this is a special talent. He's starting to get a lot of attention now, obviously with the things he's doing. But you don't see a talent like this come along, you know, that often. He can do it all.
Well, it's clear there's a lot of talent in that bat for sure. The league taking notice, and now Major League Baseball handing down suspensions from yesterday. And what happened, of course, Urena ejected after that pitch. He was suspended for 6 games and an undisclosed fine. Eric Young also was fined and suspended for a game. So he's serving that suspension today as the first base coach. And again, I was talking with EY before the game. He got in a little bit of a tiff with Brian Anderson from the Marlins. Brian Anderson started coming at him, and EY kind of felt like he had to defend himself and get his hands up there. So again, the suspensions, I thought it was really interesting, you guys, that they were handed down so quickly. We just saw with the Dodgers that Puig's suspension handed down a couple days after he and Nick Hundley got in a fight in the middle of the game. So again, trying to act on this really quick, but you guys have talked at length about it. It's unfair what happened, and again, I think what Walt said, the Marlins, you could tell, very embarrassed by the actions of their pitcher.
Yeah, and Jenny, just to pick up on your thought, I'm glad Joe Torre moved swiftly. Major League Baseball doesn't need incidents like that. Are they going to happen? Absolutely. You have guys competing hard, and in the case last night, that kid from Miami did a foolish thing, and I mentioned last night on the air, he unfortunately has a history of doing that. He did it in the minor leagues, evidently, on an occasion as well. And you want to move past it if you're Major League Baseball, so don't have it linger and it's still a story a week later. Hand out those suspensions quickly. That is foul. Fortunately, Ender Inciarte. And the same situation with the Puig and Hundley deal. Hundley was fined. Puig was suspended the 2 games that Jenny had mentioned.
From a former player's standpoint, looking at what happened yesterday, it bothers a lot of players. It bothers a lot of people on both sides, because our game, we love young talent. We love to show off our game. And when you have players that are taking it into their own hands, an opportunity to hurt somebody, what if he broke his elbow? And this is a team in the middle of a division race. It'd be awful. It would be terrible.
Bad. Listen, get him out the right way to get him out. If the guy's having success, he's paid to have success. I read somewhere this is slowly hit toward DJ. Good play by LeMahieu. 2 outs as Inciarte is retired. That'll bring up the catcher, Kurt Suzuki. Reading somewhere, I mean, it's analogous to a hitter all of a sudden. A pitcher's on a roll, and he just charges the mound and brings his bat with him and tries to, damage his arm. I mean, it's silly. It has no place.
Well,
I hope Miami can make a statement.
They should make a statement.
They could send that kid out. Miami's not going anywhere. They're in the rebuilding mode. But you don't want to give it tacit approval. Suzuki hits this ball a long way to left center field, way back and gone. He ties the ball game at 1 with his 9th home run of the year.
That's what makes this offense so dangerous, is that you have the veteran hitters at the bottom. You have enough power throughout that you can tie up a game. That's just a center cut fastball, not well located. Suzuki, who was coming off a career high in homers last year.
He was hitting just 153 over his last 19 games. That was his first home run in 28 games. Dansby Swanson takes a strike. Swanson swung it well in Denver earlier this year. Here's the first bank defensive lineman. Haven't had an opportunity to do that yet for the Rockies. The great news, Nolan's back at third. Paradal and Gonzalez in the outfield. Again, Charlie's getting the night off. He's been scuffling with the bat. Tony Walters doing the catching. Did Swanson go? Yes, he did. 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the shortstop, Dansby Swanson. John misses with that slider, 3-2. And he blows him away with the fastball at 95. In the inning, Suzuki hits a home run. We're tied at 1 as we go to the 3rd. The next day between 4 and 6, and get your Rockies Taco Special Live Mas at Taco Bell. It's been a while. It's been a long while, over 3 weeks. In fact, it's been 23 games, which matches the longest stretch in Rockies history, not scoring 7 runs in a ball game. To go back to 2015, the time prior was 21 games in 2007. Rockies will have John Gray to lead things off against Tehran here in the 3rd. That's outside on John, ball 1. Tehran was spraying his fastball last inning. Got behind Nolan 3-0. Nolan ended up getting ahead. He got behind Story and walked him. One ball, 2 strikes. And he gets a strikeout, his 2nd of the ball game. That'll bring up David Dahl. He had a fly ball to fairly deep center field leading off the game.
Well, for last year, Julio Tehran was, I mentioned, was pretty bad at home, 3-10 with a 5.86 ERA. But if we look at his sinker percentages, last year 307 batting average, 500 slugging. This year he's keeping it down, 192 against him, 246 slugging. And when you play in a ballpark like SunTrust, or if you leave a ball up, we've already seen it with John Gray, the ball will fly out of here.
Breaking balls outside, ball 1. Tehran is a native of Colombia. One ball, 1 strike. Last year he went 11-13 with a 4.49 ERA. On a couple of occasions he has won 14 games. His best season was 2014. He pitched to a 2.89 ERA in 33 starts. Been very reliable. He takes the baseball every 5th day. And this ball's well hit to right center field. Take a good look. You won't see this one for long. David Dahl has gone deep for the 6th time this year. And the Rockies back in front 2-1. That was a bomb.
He almost hit this one off the Chick-fil-A cow. I don't like that cow. David Dahl gets a pitch up, and you know there's friends and family around here for David.
From the neighboring state of Alabama. He hit this one halfway to Birmingham.
Well, he got that fastball. We talked about location being so important to Tehran with this fastball. This ball just gets smoked.
See Tehran, he goes, give me another baseball.
Yeah, I need another one.
434 feet later, 106 miles off the bat. Here's DJ. Now think about the last couple of days, and Julio Tehran is no slouch, but the last 2 days in Houston, you face Verlander, and the Rockies beat him behind German Marquez. And then yesterday, you faced Garrett Cole, and unfortunately, Tyler Anderson had an off day, and Garrett Cole was virtually unhittable.
he was really good.
Well, here again the numbers. When Tehran allows a home run or more, he's got a 7.27 ERA in those games. 1-1 to DJ. And DJ is another one of those guys with ties to the Atlanta area. He was living down here for a while. His wife Jordan is from Atlanta. Now living back up in Michigan. And he went. There's that slider. 2 gone, a run in. Cargo coming up.
Let's take a look at David Dahl's home run, brought to you by StatCast AI. 106 miles an hour off the bat, traveled an estimated distance of 434 feet. Almost hit a lady coming down through that walkway.
Yeah, that ball was damaged.
I wish he would have hit the cow. That cow frightens me. We had a whole thing about it last year.
Cargo ropes it right at Ozzie Albies, and that'll end the inning. Rockies take a 2-1 lead on Dahl's 6th of the year. Yeah, I can understand why that would freak you out a little bit.
Turn it
Up
off.
with the eyes. TNT Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. David Dahl running around the bases. That's good to see. And the Rockies have a 2-1 lead. That's also good to see. We go to the bottom of the third. Toronto lead things off in the top of the order. David playing center field tonight for Charlie Blackmon. And that first pitch is in there for a strike. Teron hit his first career home run earlier this year. And that curveball's in there. It's a 2-strike count.
We'd like to see a shutdown inning for John Gray. Obviously, the home run by Suzuki had 2 outs, had a chance to get the Rockies back in. He loves shutdown innings after you score. Continue to put pressure on this Braves pitching staff and Julio Teheran.
That's off the very end of the bat. And in foul ground, Desmond makes the catch. 1 out, and that'll bring up Ronald Acuna Jr. He had a base hit in the first, would steal second, but he was stranded on the base paths. A pop-up behind him, and then ultimately a ground ball that turned into a double play off the bat of Nick Markakis. 20-year-old Ronald Acuna Jr.
He's talking with Walt Weiss about how young the Atlanta Braves are. He said, you know how many of these players would just be a sophomore in college? If you think about Acuna, Ozzie Albies.
I got one for you. Acuna's from Venezuela. He was an international signee, free agent signee by the Braves for $100,000. And that's not a boatload of money in the international signing game. In fact, to give you an idea, as you look at what he's done his last 6 games, 6 home runs, 12 driven in. Ozzie Albies Jr., 5'6" Ozzie Albies Jr., coming out of Curacao, signed for $350,000. So it wasn't as if when this young man signed when he was 16 that everybody was saying, hey, here comes the next Andrew Jones or someone of that stature. And I'm not placing him in Andrew Jones' category yet, but he's off to a terrific start as a 20-year-old. 0-2. And this is popped up down the right field line. Cargo's got a long run and cannot get there.
Well, Acuna's father, Ron, played outfield in the minor leagues for several different organizations, and talking to some people that played against him, he played during my time frame as well. They said his talent level was off the charts, very similar to Acuna. Maybe not as similar, but he had attributes to play and be a major league player. He couldn't put his game together. There's always speed bumps for some players as they try to progress through Major League Baseball, or at least to the major league levels, and some of them can derail your career.
Not a great curveball there by John. Fortunately, it was fouled back. That was a hanger. That was a good fastball, well located, some tail on it.
That's well located, right at the bottom of the zone, right where Tony Wolters wanted the pitch. And Acuna spoiled it.
Slider down and away, the call from Tony Wolters, and it's hit on the ground.
Well, I know the Braves are going to be extremely proud of not using Acuna's service time when they had the opportunity, because he had a heck of a spring training, and a lot of people in baseball world, I was up in arms about it because it's a business decision. The way that the Braves were able to hold him down in the minor leagues for an extended of about 40 days gives the Braves an extra year of control.
And the Braves are, as you know, Spilly, a year ahead of the curve of where they probably thought they would be. Albies, and he pops this one up out of play.
So if it works perfectly for the Braves. They make the playoffs this year, and they were able to extend an extra year of.
That's huge.
It's huge, and I know Braves fans were up in arms. I was up in arms, but at the same time, if the organization can save, let's say this guy is a superstar, a year of free agency, that's about, if he is a superstar 6 years from now, that's about $35 million.
It's a whole lot of money they saved.
That's a lot of money.
It's not only money they saved, they guarantee that he's a Brave for an extra season.
Mm-hmm.
0-2. Tried to drop a curveball in the back door to Albies. You know, that home run that John gave up to Suzuki, it's the first run he's ever given up in Atlanta. His first 2 starts here, he didn't give up a run. 13 shutout innings. 1 game at Turner Field, 1 game here at SunTrust. 3-0 with a 104 lifetime ERA against Atlanta. We won 3-0 here last year. Rockies took 2 out of 3 in their first visit. 2-2 on Albies. National League hits leaders. How about this, folks? 3 Braves in a row, and then 2 Reds. I would not question the first 4 guys. I did not have Jose Peraza. Wouldn't have guessed that. Slider, dirty, strike 3. See you later. Great inning for John Gray. You wanted a shutdown inning, Ryan Spilborg? You just got one. Rockies up 2-1 on the Dahl blast. Hey, Connor, did they show Jacob deGrom there with his hands on his hips, say, how about splitting this up 6 times so I could have 4 runs in each of my last 6 starts? Well, I'm glad you guys covered it. There you go. Thanks, Connor. Rockies leading 2-1. Nolan's leading off here in the 4th inning. He had a base hit and would score in the 2nd, ultimately on a sac fly by Ian Desmond. Desmond's 60th RBI of the season. That's off the plate, 1-1.
I'm not sure if he had a chance to watch any of that Phillies-Mets game at all. Watching pitchers, his position players, they had to use 2 today.
And the beat goes on this year, right?
I don't like it.
Well,
I understand it for
kid-
today, though. I can understand it. First game of a doubleheader, and you're gonna get beat. You don't want to waste those extra arms for the second game. You want to give yourself a chance because we know in doubleheaders, 50-50 are split. So you want to give yourself every opportunity to win that second game.
And I get that, and I also think, Spilly, we've touched on this. There's going to be a trend in baseball where, you know, the folks that study these things and crunch numbers are going to say it makes more sense to have a guy lob the ball at 65, 70 miles an hour. Don't want anybody getting hurt, but when you're hopelessly out of it, and save the bullets on the guys we're asking to help win baseball games. Nolan strikes out. And here's something else that you may see. And Buddy was addressing this today. We've seen defensive shifts in the infield, Spilly. How about where you have two outfielders, let's say, that are notably better than a third outfielder? In other words, run much better, take better routes. So you have a guy naturally in one corner, and now, let's say he's in left. Now you have two right-handed power hitters coming up in a row who pull the baseball. Why not flip him? Take that better outfielder and put him on the pull side,
exactly,
where the analytics say he's going to hit the baseball more frequently.
If he hits the baseball over here, let's put this guy. You're going to see it. And there's another discussion we had with Buddy today, which I don't think is far away either.
Bouncer to third. Easy play for Camargo, and he gets Story.
Letting the other team know what your lineup is before the start of the game, I think, is going to be done. I think we're going to come to a time frame where you're not going to know exactly who the starter is.
Gerardo coming up. And the reason for that is what Tampa's doing with the opener. And I know
That's
you're
right.
kind of a fan of it.
I am a fan
listen,
of it.
For the Rockies this year, you could make an argument the Rockies need an opener sometimes because all the runs they've given up in the first inning, and then they're really, really good in the middle innings. But if you don't know who's in the lineup, it's a little easier to go, boy, if we put the starter out there, the pulpit guy is going to throw one inning. What if they throw the bottom of their lineup there?
Exactly.
And they reconfigure their lineup. Futuristic baseball, not too far away.
We go to the bottom of the fourth, and the Rockies lead the Braves 2-1. Nick Markakis due up second. He has the most hits in the National League with 150. Second in batting average to his teammate Freddie Freeman, who's going to lead off this inning. Nick Markakis, a resurgent season this year. It's his 13th year in the big leagues. He's hitting .321, .499 slugging, 150 hits, as I mentioned, the extra base hits up to 53. Those are his averages of the previous 12 seasons below. He averages about .288. As Freddie Freeman hits a pop-up into the outfield, and David Dahl will make the first out. Going back to Markakis, you talk about his durability. This is a guy that's played 155 games or more since 2007. And speaking of that 2007 season, his second year in the big leagues, that's when he had 191 hits, the most in his career. He's on pace to perhaps break that and get closer. But when you look at the active leaders, 2,202 hits. And guys, just his first year as an All-Star came this year in 2018.
He's one of those guys that's just been really, really steady and falls under the radar because he doesn't do anything that screams star. But he shows up every day. You want him in the lineup every day. And because he has maintained good health, at the end of the year, you say, hey, those are pretty nice stats. But there's no superstar elements to the stats. Doesn't strike out much. Strikeout rate below 11% this year.
Well, I know Baltimore misses him. He was a huge piece for that Orioles run. And then he signed with the Braves. And those strikeout rates, as velocity's gone up and we've seen league-wide trends go up, Markakis has stayed flat. That's amazing. Another fly ball out to David Dahl.
Well, we talk about strikeouts, and whenever John Gray would take the mound, Spilly, we would invariably talk about strikeouts because John is one of the best strikeout artists in the sport. Since his return, John's been more about getting quick outs. The strikeout rate is actually down for John since he's come back to the big leagues.
Yeah, it's at around 21%. Where was at 29 before he went down.
He still has the 5th highest strikeout rate in the National League, and he has the 3rd highest whiff percentage in the league, actually 2nd. He's right there with Scherzer and Patrick Corbin. That's a good looking pitch. But one of the other byproducts of the fact that he's getting quicker outs, we've seen John in a position now twice of late where Buddy Black thought he may send him out in the 9th inning.
Good pitch. This is so important for John to be able to throw a curveball because it starts about belt high, falls down off the table, but more importantly, it's a bigger separation for John between the fastball and the slider.
1-2.
And that was a good pitch, too. He almost got Camargo to chase. There's times you just, as a hitter, it was a pitch you probably should have fired at. You were so beat that you can't swing.
2-2. Slider, and he got him. So Gray with another strikeout. He's got 3 of those, and we talk about economy of pitches. That was a 9-pitch inning for Big John. He has retired 7 in a row. The Rockies leading 2-1. AT&T Sportsnet RM to cast Your vote. Who's your favorite Braves position player of all time? They've had some great ones, beginning with Hall of Famer Henry Aaron. Chipper Jones, who just was inducted. Eddie Matthews and Dale Murphy, who briefly was a Rocky back in 1993. Love Chipper Jones. Didn't see Eddie Matthews play. He was a great one. I'm going to defer here to the all-timer, and that's Henry Aaron. I have to pick one. I'm taking Hank Aaron. How about you, Spilly?
It's not even a question.
Line drive to right off the bat of Desmond, gathered in by Markakis, 1 out.
For what Henry Aaron means to baseball, to the Braves organization, just for him to be recognized by many as a record holder for most home runs in their career. And I think I was looking at some stat. If you were to remove every single one of his home runs, all 755, he still has over 3,000 hits.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stats.
Not to mention he played with Eddie Matthews, which is, well, what we said yesterday. Eddie Matthews went to Santa Barbara, which that's the high school field I played on, Eddie Matthews Field. So I know the history of Eddie and Hank Aaron, and it's almost in my blood that I became a Braves fan. You watch it when you're a kid on TBS.
Yeah, if it was possible, Henry Aaron was a little overshadowed by Willie Mays. And you're talking about in the Hall of Fame. This ball is sliced out of play. In the Hall of Fame, you're a Hall of Famer, but there's, to me, there's different levels. Willie Mays, whatever the top level is, Willie Mays resides in that top level. Hank Aaron resides in that top level. But he was almost a little bit overshadowed by Mays's greatness at the same time, and the flair with which Willie played. Henry Aaron not only was a great player, a wonderful ambassador for the sport, a wonderful ambassador to the Braves organization through the years, an executive for many, many years with Atlanta. Paul Egan's, who's the Rockies' longtime traveling secretary before he came aboard with the Rockies, worked in the Braves organization, very close with Hank. And you want to hear great stories about a wonderful man. Just you ever had the opportunity to sit down with Paul? Do you know when he was coming up, Spilly, when he went to the old Negro Leagues, he hit cross-handed.
Yeah.
Cross-handed.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Tony draws a walk.
I've actually made the argument with Hank Aaron that I think Major League Baseball should retire his number as well, along with Jackie Robinson, just for what he means to the game. I mean, it's Jackie Robinson. Obviously, you want to take nothing away from what he accomplished, breaking the color barrier in our game. But for what Hank Aaron went through, especially given the fact of being in the South during that time frame, to break the record of Babe Ruth.
Yeah, the racism that he had to endure. John takes a strike. Trying to move along Walters with 1 out. Rockies up 2-1. And that's a strike also. I'll admit I'm a Rockies fan because this is where Dale Murphy ended his career. I wore number 3 when available, playing baseball as a kid. Dale Murphy was also a great player and a great ambassador. And with 2 strikes, John gets the bunt down. Suzuki's throw to Albies is in time. And the Rockies will have a shot with David Dahl to drive in. Tony Walters is now at second base. Good job by Gray. One more note, it's seldom mentioned. Hank Aaron could run. Stole a bunch of bases.
240 career stolen bases, was caught 73 times.
But nobody talks about that, right? You always just talk about the 755.
Played till he was 42 years old.
Never hit 50 home runs in a season.
Isn't that crazy? His high water mark was 44. 47, actually, in 1971.
David Dahl hit a monstrosity of a home run his last time up to give the Rockies a 2-1 lead.
Well, here's that pitch, center cut fastball. Tehran needs to live down in the strike zone, otherwise it does get hit out of the ballpark. David almost hit it out of the ballpark.
Dahl waiting, calls timeout. Rockies have 2 hits. The Braves have just 2 hits against John Gray. Ball and a strike. That's how good Tehran's been this year. Righties hitting 197 against him. Lefties hitting just 219. And Dahl fouls off that pitch.
Those swings that David Dahl has taken tonight against Julio, it looks like he's picking up the ball extremely well against him. Some hitters just have that release point from a pitcher locked in.
And David's never played in Atlanta. Last year he was hurt, and 2 years ago he wasn't up yet. He's from nearby Birmingham, about a 3-hour drive. You ever been over in that part of Alabama?
I have not.
Beautiful. Tall pine trees.
I want to say Alabama is one of the few states I've never been to.
Had David not signed with the Rockies as a high pick, he was heading to Auburn. And that state's evenly divided. You're either an Alabama fan or you're an Auburn fan. And David goes down here, so Walters left at second base, middle of 5. The Rockies leading 2-1 at SunTrust Park here in Cobb County. On AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And there is SunTrust Park at the corner I-75 and the intersection of I-285 here in Cobb County. Rockies ahead of the Braves as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Ender Enciarte batting in the 6th spot for Brian Snitker tonight. That's where he typically hits. He'll be first up against John Gray, who's pitching a gem so far. The 1 run scored on a 2-out home run from Kurt Suzuki in the 2nd. There's a strike at 93. The scout who signed Carlos Gonzalez, Gerardo Parra, and Ender Enciarte, and later became an agent, makes his home now in Florida, used to be down in Venezuela, at the ballpark tonight, seeing his 3 prodigies.
That's great.
Special moment for that scout.
Yeah,
huh?
that's great. You're lucky if you get one.
That just missed. 2-1. And Enciarte works out with Cargo in the offseason in the Orlando area. All those guys are real good friends. Good fastball.
Think about that group when that works out. I had a chance to see Cargo this offseason working out with Ender and Jose Altuve. That's a good workout group.
You're forgetting one.
Who else am I missing?
Third baseman from Miami who's battled injuries the last 2 years.
Yeah, Martin Prado.
He's in that group. And that is a slider, swung on and missed. Another strikeout for John. 2 in a row. He's got 4.
John just reaches back and throws a slider. A little more velocity on that one. Let's see how John attacks Kurt Suzuki after Suzuki jumped all over a first pitch fastball for a home run back in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, it came in at 95 and it went out at over 100 miles an hour to left center field. Went slider on the first pitch, just missed. Fastball well received. Boy, that was close, but Tony Walters always marvel at how he raises the low strike. There's a Acuna Jr. and we're showing him because he would work out at times with that group in Orlando. Cargo got to know him. Cargo's done a great job. So is Gerardo. This ball hit hard down the line. Fair ball. Get back to that in a moment. That's going to be a double for Suzuki.
Two for two now for Kurt Suzuki against John Gray. Gets a pitch up, sneaks it past Nolan. It's good to see Nolan back on the field. Hopefully he didn't hurt his shoulder on that dive.
He's going to force Tyler Sanders to watch the uniform later, though. Dansby Swanson at the plate, 1 out. Tying run at second. Julio Teheran, the pitcher, on deck. So this is the key at bat here. And this is bounced foul. Just to finish, so Cargo has done such a good job, Gerardo Parra also, of being a mentor to the young Venezuelan players. And he worked out with Acuna in the offseason some. Gerardo makes his home a little further south in Florida, down in the Miami area. That is sliced foul, fortunately.
Saw Dansby Swanson looking inside the dugout to see if that could be replayed. Unfortunately for a hitter.
You know what? This is funny because we mentioned earlier, Jenny said that Eric Young Jr., because of last night, was suspended. for a game. Walt's checking with their video department. So EY is not coaching first. It's our old friend Sal Fasano. Now, EY was a second baseman. Big Sal was what you thought he was, a catcher. So Big Sal didn't want to move that quickly, but he had to hop out of the way there.
I was laughing with Sal Fasano because normally he keeps his facial hair pretty nice and trimmed. Has a really good mustache, a Fu Manchu that he's had for years. And he's let it go. And I asked him, I was like, well, what's going on with your facial hair? And he said the team started playing really bad and he decided he was just going to grow out a beard.
0-2, and Swanson fouls that off.
There's Fasano. The team's been playing extremely well. And there's Eric Young having to watch the game from the sidelines tonight. Bobby Cox.
With one of the all-timers. I think Bobby's got the nails on tonight.
No, I'm pretty sure he might.
Another 0-2. And this ball is going to tie it up into the gap in left center field. Too good on 0-2. And Swanson into second. Back-to-back doubles in the bottom of the lineup, and it's even at 2. Swanson's 47th RBI.
That last pitch looked like a bad slider. Right after John threw this pitch, he looked at Tony Walters. Yep, bad slider, has no bite. It's a very easy pitch for a hitter with 2 strikes. Anything middle portion and up, you just throw a swing on it, and based on location, it's a hit. You just have to put wood on it.
So here's Tehran with 1 out. Fouled out to Ian Desmond his first time up. That slider backed out. Now Tony will run to the mound.
Take advantage of the final Holiday Suite special game on Labor Day, September 3rd. All 12 or more person suites are only $100 per ticket and include food and beverage. The date is filling up fast, so call 303 Rockies today.
And that ball's lined to left, base hit. Here comes Parra. His throw to the plate is cut off. And do they get Tehran? No, he dove back in. Julio Tehran gives Atlanta a 3-2 lead.
John's not getting any movement with his slider. It's staying flat.
He's gotten a little slider happy too, hasn't he?
Just out over the middle portion of the plate. Broken bat. Gerardo Parra gives his best effort. Nolan cut it off, so it's our first chance to see him throw a baseball. I think Nolan made the right decision by cutting it off. I don't think he'd be able to get Dansby Swanson at home plate.
And now Steve Foster will come out. Well, you hate giving up hits to a pitcher, especially in a situation where they could drive in a run.
The last 2 batters for Johnny had Swanson 0-2.
You know, and it's interesting because Swanson fouled off a pitch that you said, wow, actually a couple of pitches, and you said, you know, those aren't good 0-2 pitches. And he kind of got a second and third life, and then he left another one in the middle of the plate. Now you're at the top of the lineup, and the dangerous Ronald Acuna Jr. Single and a ground ball to short. Fastball at the knees for a strike. Acuna in the second half has hit .358 with 12 of his 19 home runs. As someone that played a while in the big leagues, Billy, I'm sure it has you shaking your head, thinking of where you were at 20 years old and seeing what this kid is doing at 20.
Can't even fathom it. I mean, I was terrible at 20. I've told you that story multiple times.
That dart misses. 1-2. Wins this battle. 2 outs, 5th strikeout for Gray, and that'll bring up Albies. And Albies fouls this one off. Ozzy's hitting .257 from the left side. From the right side, he's hitting .329. 14 of his 21 home runs from the left side, but you're usually going to get about 2.5 more at bats from the left side than from the right side. He was on a tear in the first half. In fact, if there was voting after the first 2 months of the season for an MVP, he may have won it.
Yeah.
Here's the 1-1. Lost his bottom hand 1-2. Albies just 5 extra base hits in the second half so far. And you can see the average, you know, somewhat similar, but the production not what it was.
Well, teams are now have a book on him. They have an idea of what he can handle, what he can't.
And didn't handle that. Foul tip held. And the strikeout. But 2 runs come across for Atlanta. And now the Braves are back in front 3-2. DJ will lead it off for the Rockies.
It'll be DJ, Cargo, Nolan to get the Rocks going in this top half of the inning. As for Carlos Gonzalez, today marks his 1,300th game in the big leagues. Of course, 10 years playing for him. I got the chance to talk to a bunch of his teammates, including Trevor Story, who admires Cargo and his leadership so much in that clubhouse. But he said it was the very beginning of Trevor Story's career that will always be so memorable with his relationship with Cargo.
He helped me out a lot, that opening day, and he still does. But yeah, he just kind of put his arm around me and told me, I deserve to be here, and this is where I'm supposed to be, and just go out there and have fun. And that kind of took the pressure off me, and yeah, it just kind of speaks to the kind of guy that he is, and we love having him.
I think for those everyday players in that clubhouse, they can admire a number like 1,300. Cargo's been able to stay in this game a long time, and even when he had a down year, was able to reinvent himself a little bit and become the Cargo of old. I talked with Walt Weiss a little bit before the game, who of course has such a great relationship with Cargo, having managed him. He said, man, I'm a Carlos Gonzalez guy, and he said, I really think watching him this year, he still has plenty of time left in this game.
Yeah, he's had a resurgence this year. It's been fun to watch, and I don't think anybody who gets to watch him on a daily basis is surprised. Last year the first 4+ months were tough, but he really picked it up at the end, and we always fall back. We've had this conversation on the air many times about Cargo. The body was working well. The bat speed was there. You didn't look and go, oh boy, it looks like all of a sudden the guy's gotten old. This is bounced to short. DJ is going to get thrown out by Swanson. So Cargo will come up here. The Rockies down a run as they bat with 1 out in the 6th inning. Break Cargo's numbers down month by month. Just keeps getting better, it looks like. 6 home runs in that July, in which the Rockies went 17-6. Solid so far in the month of August. And I'm glad Jenny went and talked to Trevor Story about Cargo's influence on Trevor, because almost on a nightly basis, we would have numerous shots of Cargo in the dugout with his arm around Trevor, counseling him, sometimes just making him laugh, making him a big leaguer and getting him acclimated to this level. And you could see what in Trevor's words, that was heartfelt. That wasn't just, hey, they asked me about one of my teammates and here's a soundbite. Cargo means a ton to Trevor Story and a lot of guys in that clubhouse. 2 outs.
It's always important to have somebody that, like Carlos Gonzalez or superstar on the team, that understands what it feels like to be a rookie in the big leagues trying to find their way. And we always mention that aha moment for every player when you realize I belong in the league. And that's what Cargo is constantly trying to remind Trevor Story. You're good. Like, you're going to be good for a long time. And for that helped speed up that time frame to get that guy to believe. It was like, I really do belong here. If my teammate who's been around this game long enough and has done bigger things than I've ever accomplished is saying I belong here, that's the confidence you want.
Inside on Nolan, ball 1. And every once in a while, Spilly, you may have witnessed this when you were coming up or heard stories about this in your time as a big leaguer, that some of the veteran players, it's almost a rite of passage, don't treat young players well.
You have to earn your stripes. There's no question. You have to know what it means, at least for the fabric of the game, the history of the game, who's come before you, why you get the chance to wear these uniforms. Understanding who Kurt Flood is, understanding what Henry Aaron means to the game, understanding what the previous Rockies. I mean, there's that time frame where you have to respect the fact that this game has been here for over 100 years.
When you first got drafted by the Rockies, maybe it wasn't initially, but when you were having success in Double-A and got moved up, did you take the time, and I know how studious you are, to learn more about recent Rockies and maybe Rockies history in general?
It's not like I was researching my teammates because you're so concerned with your own career, but certainly once you make it to the big leagues, knowing people's names, making sure you say hi to everybody, finding out who their wife or their daughter and just having a good understanding of your teammate. That's important because it brings you as a group closer.
3-1 is ripped to left for a base hit. So with 2 outs, the Rockies have Nolan aboard, and that's just their 3rd hit. And that'll bring up the aforementioned Trevor Story.
So the Braves right now, they have a great organ player, and as Trevor Story's walking up to the plate, they're playing the Toy Story song, "You Got a Friend in Me," for Trevor Story, Toy Story. It's fun.
Glad you picked up on that.
I thought it was great.
I heard it. I didn't realize that was from Toy Story. I got to get out more, huh?
Yeah, that movie was like 15 years ago.
Outside. Well, between Nolan and Trevor, they hit a ton of home runs. In fact, that pair has more home runs than any other pair of teammates in baseball. 3 more than Jesus Aguilar and Travis Shaw of Milwaukee. The one in St. Louis isn't really fair. It's all about Matt Carpenter. They throw in the next highest guy. It's Yachty with 15, but Carpenter's gone off. Two outs, Nolan at first. 2-0 on Trevor. Trevor riding a 12-game hitting streak. Best in the National League right now. Three and 1. You got a friend in me for Trevor Story.
Braves organist. I know.
Down the line, that is a foul ball.
There's been some close balls going over the bases today. Dansby Swanson had one. That is close. Now the rule is if it lands in fair territory, goes over any portion of the bag and lands in foul territory, it's still considered fair.
Nolan will be moving here. It's 3-2 on Story. Pitch number 77 for Tehran.
Trevor had a pitch he could handle. That was a mistake. If anything, it was because Tehran added a couple miles an hour to the fastball, 93 miles an hour. Just that slight extra velocity was able to get it off Trevor's barrel.
Another 3-2 and a strikeout. Went upstairs at 93. The Braves in the middle of 6 holding a 3-2 lead on the Rockies. First of 4 here in Atlanta. UC Health. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. Beautiful night for baseball, not overly humid. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to rock your routine a little bit later, brought to you by UC Health, because ready to pitch is John Gray against Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman very aggressive at the plate. Got hit by the first pitch he saw in the first inning, a curveball. And then on the first pitch he saw in the fourth inning, he hit a fly ball to David Dahl in center. He fired at that first pitch. Freeman, kind of like Joey Votto, the great first baseman for Cincinnati, chokes up on the bat. Yet hits for power.
And this guy has some of the best opposite field power in baseball. Third time through the lineup for John Gray. You see a pretty big increase in OPS, which is on base plus slugging. It goes over 800. Hitters are hitting about 300 against him third time through. Keep the ball down. There you go.
He did a great job there. Kept the ball down and away and gets a strikeout. That's 3 in a row for John. He's got 7.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for $59.99 to watch every out-of-market regular season game. Plus, get a free subscription to MLB At Bat, Premium, Blackout, and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer.
Nick Markakis, another one of the leading hitters in the National League, is 0 for 2 against Gray tonight. 6-4-3 double play and a fly ball to center. Here's pitch number 77 for the Big Okie. That's a strike.
How about this? Would you enjoy this? I'm always curious. Nick Markakis and Ryan Flaherty, teammates on this Atlanta Braves team. Nick Markakis is married to Ryan Flaherty's sister. So they're brother-in-laws.
Or brothers-in-law.
Brother-in-laws. There he is, Ryan Flaherty.
So what's the question?
Would you like to be teammates with your brother-in-law? Keep it in the family.
Boy, there are a lot of directions you can go with that question. Sure. How about you?
Sure. I would like it.
3-1. And that's ball 4. It's first walk for John tonight. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Camargo. You see that opponent batting average third time through the lineup, 298. But a lot of those numbers I'm not as interested in, because there was the first half John Gray and there's the second half John Gray. And the second half John Gray does not resemble the first half John Gray.
So I have to correct my story with Ryan Flaherty and Nick Markakis. It was Nick Markakis' wife's sister that Ryan Flaherty ended up marrying.
Nick Markakis' wife's sister. Okay.
There you go.
Still makes them brothers-in-law. This should be 2. DJ had to wait for a moment, and Trevor had to wait initially to get the baseball to DJ, because DJ had a little farther to go. Both teams kind of hanging around right now. They want to make sure that the out was recorded at first. It was pretty close.
He's out.
He's out. And Atlanta will not challenge. The 6-4-3 end of the 6th. Rockies got to get going. They're down a run when they come up in the top of the 7th inning. Leading it off will be Parra.
Top 7, Rockies trailing 3-2 in Atlanta. Rockies gift cards are a great gift for all Rockies fans. Gift cards can be redeemed for game tickets at Rockies dugout stores or for merchandise and concessions at Coors Field.
Time to get going offensively. The Rockies have been limited to 2 runs tonight and just 3 hits. It'll be Gerardo Parra, Ian Desmond, Tony Walters, 6, 7, and 8 in the Rockies order. Parra, fly ball to right and a ground ball to second. Fouled off. So I just took a quick walk down the hallway, and they have framed photos of all of the Sports Illustrated covers that an Atlanta Brave had adorned at some point in time. Here's the 0-1. Fouled off. 2 strikes. And one of them caught my eye. Deion Sanders on the cover.
Oh, that's right.
And it was red hot. Deion leads the Braves and now is a big star in 2 sports. Do you remember back when in the autumn Deion was taking like a helicopter from the, to a football game, and then next moment he's lining up and playing for the Braves? This is going to be an easy play for Albies.
I had a chance to see Deion Sanders play a baseball game in San Diego, and I've never seen anybody run like that on a baseball field. Never. I watched him put a bunt down, and he was at first base in 3 seconds. I mean, it wasn't even close.
I would agree with you. I don't know if I've seen anybody faster in a baseball uniform. I mean, there's a few guys who were faster in a football uniform. Who was faster in a football uniform?
Nobody. Prime time.
Bullet Bob Hayes.
Prime time.
Prime time. Ian Desmond, a sac fly in the second and a line out to right field, and this is rolled foul. 2 strikes on Desmond.
Tehran is as advertised. Very difficult to square up. Doesn't give up a lot of hits. When he does, it gets hit out of the ballpark. He's effectively wild, and he's got great deception with a short arm. He has a very short arm swing.
And once he's locked in, it's not like, as you see on that graphic, 3rd time through, there's this big jump up in batting average. In fact, it goes down slightly, and Desmond is gone. Looking for something else. That was right down the middle. Strikeout number 7 for Tehran. Something about this guy. I mean, he's not easy to hit for anybody typically, but he still had an ERA of 4.33 coming in. This is his 10th career start against the Rockies, and he always seems to have the upper hand. 2.21 ERA in his previous 9 starts. And a strike on Walters. Tony, a pop out and a walk. I asked Tony earlier today, I said, what's the first thing you do when you get to the ballpark when you see that you're starting? And he said, I go over the scouting report, and he said, I didn't even know if I was starting today, but he goes, I have to prepare like I'm starting. So when he got up this morning, he has an app where he can listen to the scouting report on all the Braves hitters, and he listens to that over and over again. So it's kind of ingrained in his mind. And then when he gets to the ballpark, he's going to watch video on the guys and read the scouting reports again, and then have his meeting. And then he'll worry about the guy he's facing and look at that guy from the offensive standpoint. So, I mean, it's hours spent just getting ready for the guy he may catch that evening. And that's how you get the nickname Papers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're always carrying a lot of papers around, studying. It's paid off. Tony's a terrific receiver. 2-2. And that's low. 3-2.
Took 2 borderline pitches. 3-2. I don't know if you're going to get. I've seen zones expand 3-2.
If he gets on, Charlie Blackmon's in the on-deck circle to hit for Gray. Freeman feeds Tehran. And it's a 1-2-3 seventh inning. Stretch time in Atlanta. The Rockies trail 3-2. Two is the museum. It's kind of a ramp walkway that they have down on the lower level. Gets a lot of visitors naturally. Braves have a long and distinguished career. We go to the bottom of the seventh inning. John Gray will stay on since his number didn't come up offensively. It'll be Inciarte, Suzuki, and Swanson. And this is kind of the area of the lineup that has given John the issues. He's handled the front part of the lineup with all the big names, Acuna and Albies and Freeman and Markakis. Kurt Suzuki a home run and a double tonight, and Dansby Swanson an RBI double. Those guys have been the problem child. This ball is lifted to Cargo in right center. One pitch, one out. Inciarte's retired. And that'll bring up Suzuki. The home run to left center and the double right down the third base line past a diving Nolan Arenado. Luke Jackson has risen and is firing in the Atlanta bullpen. Song-Wan Oh was up for the Rockies last inning if John was pinch hit for. You always look back at a pitch or two that you want back. And I think for John, it was the 0-2 sequence, Spilly, to Dansby Swanson.
Sure. Really, it's been 4 pitches. 4 pitches out of 85 pitches now that John Gray wants back. First pitch to Kurt Suzuki in the second inning. Hanging slider in the 5th inning to Suzuki. The slider to Swanson with 2 strikes. And the slider to Tehran.
See, that's a strike.
It is a strike. It's a tight zone tonight. Fair but tight. And the Subaru strike zone right at the top of the zone. Take a look one more time. High strike is rarely called, especially against other catchers.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
But that's it, Drew. That's it. 4 pitches.
But on the other side, we sound like a broken record now. The Rockies position players know this. And yeah, they face some great arms, especially the last couple of days. Verlander and Cole. But You got to score more than 2 runs. 2 outs. Some people buy into run differential as an indicator of what kind of team you have. And we mentioned off the top that Atlanta leads the National League in run differential at a +98 right now. Arizona in the division, their game up on the Rockies at +72. And then the Rockies are -24. The Dodgers are right behind Atlanta at +93. -24 is most unusual for a team this far into the season that is 8 games above 500. Last year, the Rockies on the season finished +67. So you are one that follows numerous statistics, believe in some more than others. What's your thought on that?
I don't think run differential tells the entire story, because there's often the cases you'll get a big blow up. Think about last night's game. The Rockies have played in a lot of 1-run ball games, just like the Seattle Mariners. And just like the Seattle Mariners, they have a -22 run differential. How are they 18 games over 500?
Breaking ball fouled off, 1-2. And the Rockies have been very good in 1-run games, 21-12, which is necessary. When you have good pitching and you're in a division with a lot of high caliber pitching, I'm on board with you. What the Rockies haven't produced this year is the number of games we've seen in the past where they blow out an opponent, where they win 8-1, 7-2, you know, that type of ball game. And you hope it's coming.
It needs to. Eventually, you're going to have to rely on some offense, because it's hard to rely on a starting rotation to give you less than 3 runs a game.
Well, and for John, 92 pitches in. Let's say he gets Swanson in the next couple of pitches. If the Rockies were up, he'd go out for the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Very confident that he would. But he's done at the end of this inning because he's scheduled to lead off and the Rockies trail by a run. And as we say, Spill, you know this all too well from playing for a long time. There are days where, you know, you hate doing it. I know position players don't like pitchers.
We don't like tipping our cap.
But you tip your cap every once in a while. But you hate to go, you know, a week straight where you feel like you're tipping your cap every night. Because they're all good at this level. Great pitch by Gray. John with 9 strikeouts in 7 innings. He's done his part. The Rockies offense has to pick him up. They've been limited to 2 runs on 3 hits.
Braves in Atlanta 3-2. The first 15,000 fans on Friday, August 24th, will receive a Charlie Blackmon beard beanie, courtesy of the Colorado Beef Council and KOA News Radio. And it's a perfect segue for us to show that Charlie Blackmon's going to pinch hit for John Gray. Get your rally beards on.
Well, I know it's always fun for Charlie to come home. Grew up in Atlanta, went to college in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. lives in Atlanta. So after 90 pitches from Julio Teheran, it'll be Luke Jackson in the 8th inning.
3-pitch mix for Luke Jackson. No shock, it's a high fastball velocity, 94 miles an hour, has a curveball and slider. His curveball, he'll throw about 16% of the time, the slider close to 40, so it's different than what the Rockies just saw in Houston, where it was primarily from the relief pitchers, high fastball velocity with a big secondary curveball.
Charlie drives this pitch foul.
And I like that for Charlie. Usually he's very patient as a leadoff hitter, but as a pinch hitter, fire your swing away. It's the quickest way to get your body hot.
He spent extra time today in the cage working with Dwayne Espy and Jeff Salazar, and this ball bounced toward Albies, who was in the hole, and he'll throw out Charlie. 1 out. That'll bring up David Dahl. David in the 3rd inning put the Rockies ahead 2-1. The Rockies actually scored the first run of the game. Nolan had a leadoff single in the 2nd, would eventually score on a sac fly off the bat of Ian Desmond. Then a home run by Suzuki tied it. Dahl hit a home run. The Rockies were up 2-1. See the action in the Rockies pen. Fly out, home run, strikeout tonight for Dahl. Ball 1.
Well, as a former bench player trying to play manager along with Bud Black, if you're looking at this inning, you'd like to see a base runner get on for so many different reasons, but more importantly, if you get to cargo this inning, it allows Bud Black to keep Charlie Blackmon in the game, so you have that opportunity, if you get to the 9th inning, to use Charlie again as a hitter.
Inside on David, 2-1. Luke Jackson's been back and forth between the parent club in AAA Gwinnett County, which is not far from here. 2-2.
Braves bullpen ranks 17th in baseball with the 4.09 ERA, but what might surprise you, the Atlanta Braves have given up the least amount of hits in the National League.
Good swing there. Well, I know their starting rotation is vastly improved from last year. They have a 3.61 ERA. And that'll go down a little bit after the work of Teheran tonight. That's 3rd best in the league. Last year they had a 4.80 ERA, so they've shaved well over a run off their earned run average from last year.
It's been a bounce back year for Teheran. It's been a bounce back year for Mike Fultonevich. And Sean Newcomb has gotten better as well. So you have 3 guys that were in the rotation last year that took a major leap forward in 2018.
Yeah, Sean Newcomb, rising star. I think the same thing should be said about Mike Fultonevich. And the Rockies will see both of those guys this weekend. 2-2. And it's chopped right back to the mound. Another guy that does not like to throw the baseball. That's a long looping underhand throw. In time for the 2nd out. So the Rockies down to their final 4 outs. They just need a couple. And DJ LeMahieu will try to go with 2 outs here. Well, we're tired of reading this without any payoff. Who wants tacos? Fans, everybody wants them, right? Follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. It's been 23 straight games underneath 7 runs. DJ with an opposite field single. And now the go-ahead run will come up in cargo. There's 4 lefties down in that bullpen. See if Brian Snitker wants to match up here. Cargo seems to think that's going to be the case. He's just kind of waiting.
And the Braves have 4 lefties. AJ Minter has been a closer for the Atlanta Braves at times this season. Drew, they have in their bullpen right now, they have 5 pitchers that have had at least 1 save on the season.
Well, Jackson's going to face Cargo despite the wealth of left-handers available. You're going to see a left-hander in the 9th in Minter in all likelihood. He's been closing lately. Inside.
Now you can understand why Brian Snitker's leaving in Jackson. Jackson for the season, .254 batting average against righties, but lefties he's keeping him to a 171.
Cargo 0 for 3.
Run into one, Cargo.
Cargo in his career against the Braves has hit .299 with 9 home runs, making it even 10. 2-0. Two outs, LeMahieu at first. 2-0 on Cargo. 3-0 on Cargo with Arenado on deck.
Well, Cargo gets a green light if he wants it. You have to trust your hitters to go ahead and fire, even with Nolan on deck.
Inside, ball 4. Now it gets a little more interesting. Tying run goes to second. Go ahead run at first. And here comes the incomparable Nolan Arenado. This is Chuck Hernandez making his way to the mound. Nolan tonight, a couple more hits. Singled and scored in the second. After striking out in the 4th, he ripped a single to left in the 6th.
This is where Nolan comes up big for his career. He's always hit extremely well with runners in scoring position. This year in 2018 with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. .345 batting average.
So here we go. And this kicks away. DJ will move up. Cargo behind him will move up. Throw out a base hit here, and in all likelihood, the Rockies will take the lead. Wild pitch on Luke Jackson.
Luke Jackson just overthrows the slider. Kicks off to the left for Kurt Suzuki. Easy read for DJ.
I'm going to call that a pass ball.
Oh, pass ball.
Actually, they just changed it. Swung over the top of the slider. You dream about these situations, you live for these opportunities. As Billy was saying, Nolan typically thrives. He's behind now 1-2.
Well, we talked about Nolan with 2 strikes last night, about .245 batting average, about 100 points higher than league average. There's that good slider that Jackson was trying to throw to Nolan on the first pitch. This is where Jackson has an advantage over Nolan. Nolan hasn't seen this guy before.
1-2. And he struck him out. Rockies lead 2 in scoring position. 3-2 going to the bottom of the 8th. Atlanta in front by a run. Kubota pitching performance. John Gray tonight. Just 5 hits over 7 innings. He's given up 3 runs, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 94 pitches. But unfortunately, John's behind a run. He's given way now to Song-Hwan-Oh in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 3-2 Atlanta with Ryan Spilborghs and Jenny Kavnar. I'm Drew Goodman, first of 4 here at SunTrust Park. After the Rockies split a 2-game set down in Houston against the defending world champions. Song-Hwan-Oh's been very good in the Rockies uniform. He's had a good year overall. He was very, very solid in Toronto. Charlie Culberson has had a great year. The former Rocky has found a home, back home in Atlanta.
It's been remarkable for Charlie Culberson. I mean, he's become a folk hero to Atlanta Braves fans.
And the reason is he's hit several large home runs. He's had a game-winning hit 4 times. He's hit a couple of pinch hit home run, walk-off home runs.
He had one against his former team in the Dodgers.
2 strikes on Charlie. He's a guy.
Oh, I think Stu Cole just got hit by the foul ball. Yep.
Yeah.
Bud moved his leg. Better me than you.
And I think that thumbs up is indicating that he's okay. This is going to be a tough play for Nolan. What a play at first. Nolan got Charlie Culberson like only Nolan can. Do or die with the bare hand, and he fired a bullet. And you said earlier, you want to know how the arm is? You just got your answer.
Check swing on a slider. Culberson runs well. Nobody's better in baseball than Nolan with the quick hand transfer. It doesn't even set his feet, just goes.
No question, out at first.
And that was a concern for Nolan. It's not just about throwing overhand. He said if he got over the top of a baseball, it didn't hurt his shoulder. It was from all the different arm angles Nolan likes to throw from. And we had a chance to really see it.
Good breaking ball just off the plate. 1-1 on Acuna. Stu's okay. Just Keith Duggar's laughing.
For O, it's been about 5 days since his last outing. He pitched against the Dodgers on August 11th. And I know the Rockies are trying to keep him fresh. They like to give O a couple extra days in between outings.
Two-one, fouled off.
Yes, 90s Night is coming to Coors Field on Friday, September 7th. I'll be there. Purchase the 90s ticket package to receive a limited edition Catch the Fever shirt. Get to the game early to enjoy a pregame 90s DJ on the rooftop.
3-2. So if you go as somebody dressing up for the 90s, what do you wear?
I don't know, whitewashed jeans.
That's not a bad call.
Just wear the ones you're wearing right now.
And khakis. 3-2. This ball's hit pretty well right center field. Cargo's going to move back and make the catch. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Ozzie Albies. Rockies in the top of the 9th. We'll have Trevor Story, Gerardo Parra, Ian Desmond. Good curveball. It's hard to tell sometimes on television. That gives you a pretty good feel. Folks, Seung-Hwan Oh is ripped. This dude is as strong as any pitcher you're going to see running out of the bullpen. I mean, it looks like he sleeps for 8 hours and spends 8 hours at the ballpark and 8 hours in the weight room. Outside.
Well, he's quickly becoming a bullpen favorite.
You know what's wonderful? I'm glad you've noticed the same thing I have. Every day you'll see a different pen guy walking with Seung-Hwan either out to the bullpen or coming back. Today it was Jake McGee. And Gene Koo is always with him, the interpreter. But you see all 3 guys kind of laughing and enjoying one another's company. He's a wonderful guy. And so the language barrier has not been preventive of him enjoying a really good relationship with his new teammates.
The other day in Houston, Brian Shaw, who typically with his warm-up routine throws a football. Eugene and O tried to throw that football around. It didn't look so good.
3-2 on Albies. And off the mask of, it was off the mask of Pat Hoberg. Pat saying he's okay. Baseball, everybody speaks a universal language. On the ground to Trevor Story. O does a great job in the bottom of the 8th. Now the Rockies have to rally in the top of the 9th. They're down a run here in Atlanta. low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. At SunTrust Park, the Rockies trailing the Braves 3-2 as we embark on the top of the 9th inning to our Denver studios quickly. And Connor McGahee. Connor. All right, guys, thanks very much. Here's Trevor Story. He'll lead things off. The Rockies will not face A.J. Minter on the left side. They'll face recently acquired Brad Brock. He of Baltimore Oriole renowned earlier this year. It'll be his 50th appearance overall. The opposition's hitting a pretty robust 284, including righties at 266. That's not the number you typically see for a late game reliever. Usually talking about guys who are allowing an average in the low 200s or even beneath that.
The Braves made some good moves at trade deadline. They were able to add Adam Duvall from the Cincinnati Reds. Not only did they get Brad Brock, they were able to land Kevin Gossman.
Also from Baltimore. Kevin Gossman from Grandview High School, of course. Down in Parker. And LSU. 1-1 on Story. And that's on the ground to Swanson. He bobbles for a moment. Story can fly. He's safe at first. So Swanson with the error, and the Rockies have their fastest man on.
You have to take advantage of this. It's imperative for the Rockies on a night where it's very difficult to get hits. This is just a in-between hop. It looks like it might have hit something on the dirt. This is a routine play for Dansby Swanson.
Just his 9th error.
And for Trevor, just put your head down and run to first. That's why you run hard. That's a routine ground ball out. If anything, Dansby Swanson maybe took a little bit too much of a relaxed approach in trying to backhand it.
Yeah, he was a little cavalier with it.
Well, only Gerardo Parra and Ian Desmond have faced Brock in the past. Parra's 1 for 3.
Outfielders on the corners kind of squeezed the gaps a little bit. 1-0. Outside 2-0. Brock's been good with the Braves so far. He has yet to give up a run. Two and 1.
Well, Gerardo's only had 2 extra base hits since the All-Star game.
It's time for his 3rd.
Figured since I broke the walk streak for Trevor Story in the first inning.
Stay hot. Good take, 3-1.
A little bit of a sidearm. It's an interesting arm action. Well located, but just off the plate. It's his changeup that he wants to go to. That's his best secondary. And Parra missed the fastball he can handle.
Yep, out over the plate, so it's 3-2. Desmond on deck. After Desmond, you have Tony Walters. And then the pitcher spot. Rockies have Ryan McMahon. They have Garrett Hampson. See if Story takes off here. 3-2. He's going. And ball 4. So now 2 on, nobody out. And Desmond coming up. Spilly, these are the situations that you have spoken about on many different occasions. This is a tough one for a hitter, especially when you're talking about down to your final 3 outs. First and second here. You know, Desmond's always been a middle-of-the-order RBI guy. He has one of the 2 RBIs tonight. But he also hits the ball on the ground at an extremely high rate. And he's swinging.
He's at a career high rate in ground balls this year, but he's also at a career high rate in hard hit contact.
0-1 on Desmond. McMahon has come out in the on-deck circle to hit for Walters. And there's what Spilly was talking about. Up at 96, 1-1.
So this becomes a philosophy question whenever you have the situation with the type of hitter that Ian Desmond is. First, second, nobody out, 9th inning. You want to tie the game, but you also want to score that extra run. Just having a tie game going into the 9th inning isn't an advantage.
Ball and 2 strikes on Desi.
But if anything, you're just extending the opportunity to win a game. So that's the conundrum for any manager, is in a situation like this where it's the 9th inning, you don't want to give up any outs. You're down to your last 3. But you want to have second and third.
Now to play on the right side. The way they're playing it in the infield is kind of interesting. Ozzie Albies is kind of working Story at second. Freeman's off the bat considerably, but we've seen Desmond hit so many balls to the right side. Big opening there. And that's fouled off. And that swing path, again, if the ball's put in play, it's going to be to the right side. 3-2 Atlanta, top of 9. Nobody out, 2 on. Good job by Desmond. Desmond in the ball game, a sac fly back in the second. He lined out to fairly deep right in the 5th and was caught looking at a fastball in the 7th. One out.
Pretty tough combination when you have a fastball that averages 95 miles an hour and you can throw an excellent plus changeup off of it. Get Ian to just swing right through it.
So Ryan McMahon comes up with 1 out. Chris Iannetta has come out in the on-deck circle. And this is pulled through the right side, base hit. Story around third, coming home. He's going to score to tie it up. Parra goes to third. How about Ryan McMahon? How good's he been late in the evening?
That's huge. And the Rockies had to take advantage of the miscue by the Atlanta Braves. Man, coming up huge. It doesn't matter now. You almost want to see him in that situation. Well, there's a changeup. This one's up. McMahon is able to pull it through the hole. And it looks like Freddie Freeman took a step and realized he had no shot to get it. Good job from Gerardo going first to third. So you're back in business with Iannetta at the plate right now.
Chris looking for a fly ball, and he takes ball one. That was huge that Parra did make it to third base. One out. The Rockies have tied it here in the ninth. Off-speed pitch waved at, 1-1. David Dahl at the top of the order on deck. Two and one. Trevor Story naturally going all out, as he always does. Reaches on the bobble by Swanson. And then with the great speed comes around on the roller through the right side by Ryan McMahon. 2-1. Outside, 3-1.
So I kind of talked about how Charlie Blackmon last inning, depending on if Cargo got up, that you could leave him in the game for the potential at bat in the ninth inning. But instead you have Chris Iannetta in this pinch hit spot, and it's worked out well for Chris.
3-1, 3-2. Chad Sabatka is up now in the pen, a right-hander. 3-2, and that's fouled off, but held, excuse me, so it's not a foul ball, it's a foul tip, strike three. Stealing second is McMahon. And now Dahl will come up. David's 1 for 4, home run in the third inning, his 6th of the year. That home run back in the third gave the Rockies the lead. David trying to give the Rockies the lead again here in the ninth.
The Rockies 1 for 6 on the evening with runners in scoring position. Their batting average as a whole has dropped down to .256. There's that small strike zone. We've seen it has not been called low.
Virtually the same pitch. One was called a ball, one was called a strike. Ottavino and Davis. This ball line to left. This will score 2. McMahon coming home, and he'll score easily. David Dahl, what a night. 3 ribbies for Dahl, and the Rockies have a 5-3 ninth inning lead in Atlanta.
There's just some quality at bats from the young guys, from Ryan McMahon with the pinch hit single to now David Dahl in the rare night off for Charlie Blackmon.
You know what I like about this at bat? Obviously the result, but Spilly, the first 2 pitches, David's really aggressive. First 2 pitches he didn't fire at.
No, and this is a changeup that he sat back on, allowed it because it was up, and went with the pitch. That's just telling you his nerves, he didn't have any. He wasn't trying to do something he wasn't capable of doing. That's an unbelievable at bat from David Dahl.
Took the while for the Rockies to get going offensively. They've come alive in the ninth. They're up 2. Rockies have taken a 5-3 lead. David Dahl a moment ago, a 2-run single. Here's LeMahieu. Dahl drawing interest from Chad Sabatka, who just came in. He's looking for the third out in the ninth inning. Dahl may be looking to swipe a bag here.
Well, you could. Sabatka is a very tall right-hander, hardest thrower out of the Braves' pen currently. 97-mile-an-hour fastball. And you can see high leg kick, big lanky body. Usually David Dahl's going to jump on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually high leg kick will enable a base stealer to get a good jump. Not going, and this ball's fouled off. The Rockies came into the ninth inning with 2 runs on 4 hits. They have rallied for 3 runs on a couple of hits. And it's the youngsters being involved tonight. Off the bench, clutch single by McMahon to tie it, and then David Dahl, who takes off here, and then it gets away from Suzuki, stolen base, and David wisely will stay there. He's already in scoring position, so it is a stolen base.
We're getting a chance to see all of David Dahl's tools tonight. Stealing first pitch with the high leg kick, not first pitch, but on an off-speed count. Spike slider.
4th bag for Dahl.
You get a chance to see him hit a ball 440 feet and take a changeup opposite field, steal a bag.
Done a lot of great things tonight, hasn't he? This ball's in the air to deep center field. Turning and run, he's in Ciarte. He'll get there at the edge of the track. The Rockies rally for 3. They take advantage of a Dansby Swanson error. David Dahl drives in the last 2. Now the Rockies need 3 outs to shake hands here in Atlanta. David Dahl earlier in the ball game with the score tied at 1. Dahl hits one 434 feet, and the Rockies go up 2-1. 6th home run this year for David, but this was an even bigger swing. A moment ago, David, with 2 in scoring position, lines a base hit to left, and he gives the Rockies their 4th and 5th runs, and they lead 5-3 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Boy, this would be a special win. Freddie Freeman will lead it off. Wade Davis looking for the save. And the first fastball is outside, ball 1. Freeman tonight is 0 for 2, and he was hit by a pitch. This is the 54th appearance for Davis. Spilly, he's looking for his 33rd save.
He pitched in Houston, pitched extremely well, kept the ball down. He's going to go through a difficult portion of this Braves lineup because it's the two veteran batters in Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis. They can wear you down.
League hitting just .201 against Wade. And the slider's in. 2-1. With that extra run, can afford to be aggressive if you're Wade Davis. Three and one. Full count now on Freeman.
Freeman 1 for 3 in his career against Wade Davis. Not sure when that was. It could have been when Wade was a starter. Could have been in interleague play against Kansas City. Or maybe even last year with the Chicago Cubs.
3-2, and that is a base hit right center field. Cargo going to try to hold Freeman to a single, and he will. That's a great play by Cargo, and had Freeman tried to stretch that, that throw was right on the bag.
I almost wish he did. He ran himself into an out. 3-2, Wade Davis had to come after Freddie Freeman. You do not want to walk anybody in the ninth inning. You can live with base hits. And Cargo taking a great angle to this.
Look at this throw.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And outfielders work on that. Trying to cut a ball off, spin and throw.
So here's Nick Markakis, 0 for 2 and a walk. Way outside. Camargo, the third baseman who's on deck, is a switch hitter. Now 2-0. And if you followed the Rockies this year, when Wade has struggled, it's most frequently because he's behind in counts. And he's had several long conversations with Buddy about that.
What's amazing, too, is he is so difficult to square up. It's like Julio Teheran. Sub 200 batting average against him when you put the ball in play, but a 51% first pitch strike. Lowest out of the bullpen.
And that is a borderline strike, and it took a moment for Pat Hoberg to make a decision, and had he called it a ball, you know, I don't know if you would have gotten a lot of argument. It was a borderline pitch. Fortunately, it was called a strike. 2-1. Two balls, two strikes.
Rockies outfield defense playing extremely deep. It's no doubles defense for the outfielders. Notice how far back David is. Cargo and right. That's also why he was able to cut off that baseball. Parr and left. Trying to prevent doubles at all costs.
We have another full count, 3-2. 3-2 on Markakis. Freeman takes off and swung on and missed. Throw to second will not get Freeman. The 8th stolen base for Freeman. First out recorded as the dangerous Markakis goes down, and that'll bring up Camargo.
It's another example just how difficult Wade Davis is to square up. Like Nick Markakis, we pointed out earlier, very low strikeout rate. To get him to swing and miss with the 3-2 count, very difficult to do. Just has to get that first pitch strike, and all the advantage goes to Wade.
Camargo 0 for 3. And that's a great job of receiving and kind of raising that breaking ball by Chris Iannetta. Got the lower portion of the Subaru strike zone. Good hands by Chris.
It really
Look at
is.
him stick this.
Well, and I know more umpires understand that even though it looks like a catcher's catching it towards the dirt, it is a strike.
That clearly was a strike. It's 0-2.
And Camargo cannot complain about those last 2 pitches because umpires get a report every single night of every pitch that they call or what's in that strike zone. So they see those curveballs are strikes. That's why you see a lot more of them being called this year.
Oh, 2. Got him. Good job by Chris. He made sure that he had the proper lane to throw to Desmond. 2 gone in the 9th. Ender Inciarte coming up.
That's a filthy curveball. Last 2 curveballs, the one to Markakis and that one to Camargo. 3 curveballs in the at-bat. But now Wade's starting to get that release point with that pitch. Sometimes it's a curveball that's easier to command. It might open up because the fastball for Wade has been up.
Here's Inciarte. Fastball at the knees, strike 1.
I think that curveball, the curveballs, the last 2 batters have helped get Wade on top of the baseball to finish out in front. That's a trick a lot of catchers love to do, is if you're missing up, arm side and high, call a curveball because it forces that pitcher to throw out in front.
And he's ahead 0-2 on Ender Inciarte, the former Diamondback. Rockies up 5-3. Game 1 of 4 here in Atlanta, Georgia. Here's the 0-2. Line drive, DJ LeMahieu, what a catch, ball game over. And the Rockies win it 5-3. It's good to be 6-4 and athletic. Wade Davis nails down the save. Great comeback win for the Rockies as they score 3 in the top of the 9th. And they've won for the 65th time this year. How about that catch by LeMahieu?
Oh, I love it. This gets the Braves 1 run behind the Rockies. Easily would have scored Freddie Freeman, even with Cargo and right.
And more importantly, it would have brought the winning run to the plate.
And Wade Davis jumped along with John LeMahieu. I love it. That's a great win for the Rockies.
That is a terrific win. The Rockies did not have much going on offensively. David Dahl coming through in the top of the 9th inning with a 2-run single after Ryan McMahon had tied it up off the bench with a base hit.